So a couple of episodes ago, I want to say like episode 15, 14, one of them, we were talking about, how the Memphis Grizzlies are one of those young teams that's up and coming. They play with a chip on their shoulder pretty much. We got a lot of young swagger. But over the last month and a half, 2 months, they've been backsliding, my boy. What is going on?
Second place, ain't they?
What happened?
I think they still second place though.
Second place in the league, last place in life. Let's talk about Ja St. Patrick, man. There was a video that came out maybe a month ago about Ja Morant that detailed his life in a way. It was coupled with the song from 8 Mile, well, Eminem's verse from 8 Mile, about Clarence and his parents having a real good marriage. He went to private school, and all of that was, it was like, damn, that's Ja Morant. He went to a private school. His parents were together his entire life. He's from a 2-family home.
Right.
But now all of a sudden he's one of the Migos or some shit.
Right.
Like, and nigga got a couple M's and some tattoos and oh man. Like, what's going on, Ja? First of all, this weekend it kind of came to a head. He's being sued by a 17-year-old who is accusing him of punching him repeatedly in the face at his house during a basketball game. And then he added that he pulled a gun on him, right? That's one incident. Another incident was the incident a couple weeks ago with the Pacers, where someone in one of the trucks that he may have been in pointed a laser at the Pacers team bus. So that's another incident. Another incident was apparently his mother got into it with an employee at Foot Action at a mall in Memphis.
His mother?
His mother. Okay. She called him, and he showed up with 9 of his friends to argue with, threaten, and do some other stuff to the mall security. All right. So you take all of that, and then this weekend, Friday evening after a game, he held up a gun in a nightclub. Now, I wouldn't call it a gun. It's a 380. A 380 is more like a slingshot, but it's classified as a gun. Going down for a 380 is wild.
Right.
Flashing a 380 is wild. Like, pew, pew, it's a 22. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dog? It's a 380. Like, what? You about to go shoot a pheasant? The fuck is you doing, dog? The fuck is you doing?
About to go shoot some pigeons.
So with that being said, man, how do you feel about Ja Morant, Memphis in general, and everything they got going on, man?
I feel like that Ja Morant has some unsavory people around him. And he's been influenced. Ja Morant ain't built like that. He's not really like that. We know this. Ja Morant, you don't even come from even the small town you come from ain't like that. Like, he really ain't like that. So he got some unsavory folk around him, I guess, to kind of portray something that he's not in order to deter people from thinking he's soft.
I mean, in Memphis, you do kind of need that.
Fine. I mean,
but at the same time.
But at the same time, how often are we going to dry snitch on ourselves? What's going on?
That's facts.
Not being smart, you're going to fumble the bag, fucking up.
Hey, how old is Ja? About 21? 22?
23?
About 22, 23.
He just need to get better people around him. How old is his father? About like 29?
Probably like our age, like 45, 46.
Yeah,
he about a little bit older than us. If he's older than us.
That nigga probably like 29 and shit, man.
And shit, he look 40. Shit, look like Usher.
Yeah, he 45.
45, yeah.
Ja Morant dad is 45, so he and I.
So he ain't much older than us.
Nah, he in a position that he can change a lot of people's lives and his life and stuff like that. He just need better people around him. You know what I mean?
I mean, you got your parents around you, my nigga. Like,
how
much better? How the people supposed to get?
His parents with that shit though. You know what I mean?
I disagree with that. I don't think that his father about that life either.
No one knows what he went through in life. He has young parents. Sounds like they might have made plenty of mistakes in his upbringing. Good comment.
He can't afford to make mistakes though. You know what I mean? In a position.
I mean, there's mistakes, and then there's the continuance of those mistakes.
Right. You know it's the blatant. The blatant making it's only a mistake when you make it and not understanding the consequence. So that's when it's a mistake. Then when you keep repeating the mistake,
it's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
That was a choice to hold that gun up on that video.
Yeah.
You know better than that. Why hold a gun up on a video after being accused of brandishing a gun or pulling a gun out on somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a mistake.
What are you doing?
That's slow.
He's looking for attention. If he wanted attention, all he had to do was enter the dunk contest.
Look, wanting attention, you wanted you're the star of your team. Someone wanting attention.
Not only is he the star of his team, he's going to be. I mean, well, one of the youngest players in the league right now. One of the young rising stars. I think it would be like him, Luka, Trae Young.
Yeah.
And to a somewhat more overlooked extent, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Yeah, negative attention. I can see that. It's like people want to portray a certain image. You can see what type of time he on, and that's really sad.
The NBA ain't about to play with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. The NBA not playing with that, especially when it comes to guns, because they've been through this before with Javaris Crittenton and Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas ass. Yep.
I agree, but mentally he clearly isn't where he needs to be. The spotlight can either make or break you. That is true.
Agree.
If you're not mentally strong, the boy needs therapy.
Agree.
I think he mentally strong. I just think like these kids be knowing what the fuck they be doing, man.
Right. Somebody, yeah. And it needs to happen on national TV. No,
and it's gonna finally get beat up.
Yeah, it's gonna take for a real fight. It's gonna take for a real fight during an in-game fight. That's what it's gonna take for it. He almost gave it to him. You better be careful with Shannon Sharp almost beat up you and your dad.
The thing with the teenager punching the teenager, I don't, I
hope he ain't.
I'm the wrong person to go to with that, because I be going through like when I'm walking through the mall or anywhere in public and there's teenagers out there, I be wanting to punch one of them motherfuckers too.
Facts.
So I can't even be mad at him for that.
But we're not gonna talk about that. We're on YouTube.
But I'm not gonna condone it.
We're on YouTube. We don't condone.
We don't condone violence.
So YouTube guidelines. We want to stay.
But man, Joe Jackson was right. The incident with the Pacers team bus, you couldn't prove it. They looked at the videos and they either ignored some shit or said, "No, that's not what it looks like." But they said there was no visible laser coming from the tinted windows of this SUV.
If the next game they play, the next game the Pacers and Memphis play and they get in the fight, that shit happen.
Nah, they've played against us, then haven't they?
Oh, then that shit didn't happen then.
I don't know. So those two incidents, none of the witnesses that were there at the game said that he hit the kid or anything. So maybe he feels like none of this, he hasn't felt the consequences of any of the actions that he's taken, allegedly. So maybe he just feels like he's untouchable at this point.
Yeah, he might. Up until, well, let's hope that it doesn't go any further than what we at. Because if it does, he might fumble the bag in his career. So
yeah, and that would be sad because he's an extremely talented player.
Extremely good, yeah.
Like I said, he's quickly becoming one of my favorite players to watch.
Same. Is he top 5 right now?
I think so. No,
no.
I think he's up there.
Top 5. Off the top of my head, no, he's not top 5.
Is he top 10?
10 maybe.
10, yeah. Go with top
Jokic, 10. Embiid, Tatum, Durant.
Is Durant still top 10? You got Durant top 5?
Nigga, I just saw that nigga live and in person Friday night. That nigga's top 5. He's top 5. He's absolutely top 5 player right now. I can't even hate on a nigga like I want to.
Shadow of a doubt.
Look, he's away from Kyrie now. I can be back to being cool about Durant.
Until he says some shit on Twitter.
How much separation it is between Ja and Kyrie?
I don't know. Ja Morant is actually taking his team to the playoffs.
So is Ja better than Kyrie?
Absolutely. They say no, he doesn't need therapy. He needs an old-fashioned ass whooping.
There it is. And there it is.
Joe Jackson would be proud. Oh man.